Greetings all and welcome to Dave's Craft Room. I'm Dave, and on today's video I am making a baby quilt. Last week I made a full-size quilt from the fabric I bought in Korea on my trip there with the dad of this baby, and soon after that trip I discovered that his wife Irene is pregnant. So now they're gonna get a baby quilt. And basically the idea is that I have these scraps. This is the scraps from the quilt that I made for mom and dad. And from those scraps, I'm now gonna make the baby quilt. And I have a pattern here called Scrappy Lattice by Bonjour Quilts. It's easy, it's just 2 different sizes of blocks and we can make it out of scraps. And that's essentially it. It's a pretty easy quilt, I think. And I have this background fabric. I mean, I need to iron this, but this is the background fabric. And I'm probably not gonna follow the sizes on there. I'm just gonna look at the blocks and make the blocks and then make however many I want. And also change it up a little bit so I can incorporate more of this fabric because this is a Korean fabric. I don't have very much of it, but I want to incorporate bigger pieces than kind of just what the scrap quilt sizes would allow. So let's get into it. I normally put out videos every other week, but this time I decided to put out this one in between just because it's a fast and simple project. So I just decided to put it out faster, and I also want them to be able to see the videos sooner, and I have a lot of content in the works, so I just kind of want to get stuff out. So here we go, let's get started. It's easy. All right, so the first step I'm gonna do is cut the sashing strips.
저 노을빛이 담은 하늘의 색감 이 모든 것을 내가 지면 사라질 거야 온 너의 하얀 마음에 칠을 해본 다음 사랑에 빠졌어 오늘은 내 곁에 내일은 내일에 신발은 벗어줄래 나는 13가의 코리안 맨인
And so we need 2 different sizes of square, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is just taking the scraps and cutting the different sizes. I'm gonna cut like a million and then count them, just because I can't really keep track of things, so I just kind of vibe like this.
이 노래의 주인공은 바바이 이제 내가 가사 쓰지 알을 마시며 일기장에 쓴 노래만 노래방에서 아직 거짓말 거지같이 살아 요즘 난 누가 예술을 배우나 내 글씨는 빠져놓은 파 에네르기 파 그녀는 가끔 채식주의자 냄새와 맛을 잃은 요리사처럼 슬픈 이야기가 있을까 코로나가 난 사랑 and the melody 아이러니하게 세상이 멈춰졌으니 now ready I gotta get on this 골프와 주식 위스키 얘기는 그만하시죠 앤디 장미셔 키스처럼 너의 하얀 마음에 칠을 해본 다음 사랑에 빠졌어 오늘은 내 곁에 내일은 내일에 신발은 벗어줄래 나는 13
Okay, at this point, I have all of my squares cut out. Matter of fact, I actually do have too many. But you can't have too many because we just won't use some. And in the pattern, they do talk about, you can actually just cut, for example, for this one, 2.5 strips and sew them together and then cut it out. But since I was dealing with scraps and the scraps were all different sizes, then that's why I didn't do it that way. I did it this way. What I need to do next is sew these into 4 patches, okay? And these will be the ones that get sewn into 4 patches, and some of those 4 patches will get replaced by this instead. I don't know how many, I just cut out a chunk. The reason I don't know how many is because I want to get it on the design wall and then figure it out in real life. But what I will do is still sew these up. These get sewn into 4 patches, and then they get log cabin bordered or kind of courthouse step bordered by these, which I still need to subcut. And I'll do that in a second. But first, let me just sew these up into a 4 patch. So here I go.
지구 반바퀴 돌고 내 옆자리 찾지 나이키 신고 제프키
All right, people. Today we are gonna have this conversation on whether to iron your seams open or to the side. The directions in this pattern says sew them to the side. Not that the directions actually matter. You can do whichever thing you want. And actually, when I started my channel, I kind of realized for the first time, like, some people are very particular and they're worried about what is the right way to do it, whether you should sew your seams open or to the side. And the fact of the matter is, that's not really how I work. I am very inconsistent. You know what they say, consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. We can do today what's meant for today, and tomorrow we can do something else. I really don't have one method of doing it. I pretty much just do whatever I feel like when I have the block in front of me. That being said, I think I probably do prefer having my seams ironed open because the blocks are so much more accurate and there's so much less bulk. Often the bulk is what's throwing off the accuracy. But that being said, as you can see right now, I am ironing them open today. And the reason is because it's so much faster. I have a million of these to do, and I really don't have time to sit here and fiddle with opening the seam. And so that's kind of why, even though I do like the seams ironed open, I'm ironing them to the side today. So, and that's what I mean by inconsistency. It depends on what I'm doing. These seams in this particular block, these seams need to nest properly. And that's fine because I'm doing it this way. We are able to get them to nest. When you sew your seams open, it's just a lot easier. Anything can go together with anything else. This is really fine. I mean, there's only one seam here, so it's fine. It's not like we have a lot of seams that have to line up, but that's just another factor. By ironing it open, you don't have to worry about that bulk. The bulk of where seams line up together because everything is good. And I'll even do multiple different things in one quilt. I mean, when I made the 500 block quilt of maple and eucalyptus bonkers pattern, some of those blocks had the seams ironed open and some of them had them ironed to the side. But now that I am sewing these to the side, I'm gonna make sure that they nest whenever I sew them together, and that's gonna be easy enough to do. Because if it's not going the right way, I'll just flip it, and then it will be going the right way.
You ask me why I do what I do when I'm like 엄마 말을 안 들어서 그렇지 뭐 26되고 알았네 빛이 닿는 하늘의 색감 이 모든 것을 내가 지면 사라질 거야 오 너의 하얀 마음 며칠을 해본 다음 사랑에 빠졌어 오늘은 내 곁에
All right, this is the cutting for our plus sign blocks, and let's get them sewn up. I really don't feel like filming anymore, so we're just gonna snap our fingers. That's it. I didn't frame these yet because I'm gonna replace some of them out with this. I just don't know how many yet. And let's get it up on the design wall and see what's going on. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now I like them where they are, and I have to keep them there when I sew them together. Oh, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'll figure it out again. All right, let's get these bordered, and then I think it will look better. Okay, I wanna show you this real quick because I've ran out of this blue fabric, and what I've done here is I've pieced a bunch of them, but that's still not enough for these. So I've taken these out and I'm gonna border them with this color instead, and that's gonna add interest. And that way these are gonna stand out, but however, it's still gonna look good, I think. So let me just sew these up and get these bordered too, and we'll be just fine. All right, these are the blocks. Let's get them on the design wall and see how it looks. Good. Let's try to get these more balanced. Yeah, I like that better. Good. That's a good layout. Let's get this done up. Here I go sewing the quilt top together, and you can even see the evidence of a previous video in the background. That's my FPP sampler quilt. This quilt top came together pretty quickly, and then I'm using this polyester batting. I think polyester is maybe not as warm as cotton, but I also know that babies are not really supposed to sleep under a blanket, so maybe the baby can lay or sit on top of the quilt until they're big enough to sleep under it if they want. And so that's why I went with a batting that was puffier. I'm basting it with bent safety pins, and that's been my go-to method recently for basting. I used to do spray basting because it was easy and thorough, but I've kind of shied away from the spray basting because I don't know what's in that, and they say that it washes out, but I guess I'm skeptical, and I think for a baby quilt it's definitely worth being extra cautious when I really have no idea what chemicals are in that. But the curved safety pins work well, and I'm gonna put a link below to where you can purchase them on Amazon. This is the final result, and I really like the idea of taking scraps from the quilt I made the parents and making a baby quilt out of it. And I wish them well on their next journey in life. And that's gonna be all for today's video. Thank you for coming to Dave's Craft Room. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and please come again.